Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to enable password authentication on Linux. I'll be doing that on Oracle Cloud, but you could do that on any other cloud provider that is currently set to only allow you to authenticate to your instance via private and public key pair. The first thing that you want to do is go ahead and connect your server, and once you're into your server, you can go ahead and switch to root. Clear my screen here, and once you switch to root, the next thing you want to do is make sure that you set up a password for your default user, and I'll tell you later why we'll do that. In my case, I'm on Ubuntu on Oracle Cloud. My default user is Ubuntu. If you are on a different distribution of Linux, you probably have a different user. Just make sure you set a password that you know for that user, and to do that, all you have to do is run the following command: passwd and followed by the name of the user. Again, in my case, it's Ubuntu. And then you can give your user a password. And once you have that password set, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new user. So we're not going to use that default user to set up password authentication for, because as you know, everybody knows that this user exists on your system. And if you set that user with a password, there's a big chance that somebody can break into your system. So we're going to set a new user with some random name that nobody would even know that it exists in your server. So in my case, I'm just going to pick just a random name. I'm going to call my user new user, but you can call it whatever you want. Just make sure you don't use the default user. So I'm going to say add user, and I'm going to call my user new_user. And here you're going to give your user a password. Again, give it a nice strong password. You can just tap through this if you want to answer those questions, or you can just leave them blank. And here you can just say yes. And once you have your new user set up, the next thing that you want to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to edit our SSH configuration file. And I'm going to use Nano. You can use any editor you want. And that file is located at etc/ssh/sshd-config. And once you're in this file, we're going to have to go all the way down to the bottom. And you're going to notice here that the current setup, actually, you can see it here in this line, that password authentication is set to no. So we're going to want to change that, but we're going to only exclude our new user. We're not going to set that globally for every user on that system. And to do that, we need to go again to the bottom of the file, and we're going to add an exception down here. So once you're at the bottom of the file, you can go ahead and set up an exception. So we're going to use this example that they have here to override the global settings. So what we want to do is we're going to say match user, and here we're going to give the name of our new user that we just created. So new_user, and then we're going to add a second line, and here we're going to say password authentication, and we're going to say yes. So this will allow password authentication only for the user that we have listed here. Then you can go ahead and close the file, make sure you save the changes, and you can go ahead and restart your SSH service. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and test this. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new tab, and in the new tab, I'm going to go ahead and try to SSH into my instance using that Ubuntu user that we just set up password for. So I'm going to run that, and as expected, we're going to see this permission denied public key message, and that means that this user is expected to log in with a public key. You won't be able to connect with a password. So then I'm going to do the exact same thing, but here I'm going to change the username to our new user that we just made an exception for, _user. And as you can see now, I don't get a permission denied. I'm actually being asked for a password, and I'm going to go ahead and enter my password. And there you go. I'm back into the server. I'm gonna have to move it a little bit here so you can see it, but I am into the server and I'm logged in as that new user. Now, the reason that I asked you to set up password for your Ubuntu user is because that new user that we just created, he has no privileges in this server. You won't be able to run any sudo commands, you won't be able to install any software with it. And if you want to do any of that, you're gonna have to switch to a different user. And in our case, we're gonna switch to our Ubuntu user. So if you ever need to run anything as a sudo, what you will have to do is go ahead and switch to your Ubuntu user. And here you can put that password that we set up earlier. And now you switch to your Ubuntu user, and you can run sudo commands, or you can even switch to your user if you need. And that's pretty much how everything works. Again, this is not the safest way to do it, but if you really need to do it, that's the way. There are some extra features that you can add to this to protect that account. You can set it up so it locks out after a certain number of failed passwords. You can also set up a multi-factor authentication, but that will not be covered in this video. If you like this video, please support me by subscribing for my channel. If you want to see more videos of this type, please let me know in the comment section under the video. Thank you for watching.